Hi, this is John. Welcome to a video where I demonstrate how you can break out of the 8-step sequencer on the Behringer Edge or Moog DFAM. A lot of videos say that the Edge is amazing and a DFAM for percussive grooves, but that you're limited by the 8-step sequencer. So with the help of VCVRack, I'd like to show a few options that we have available to think about it a bit differently. So I'll talk through this patch in VCV Rack, but first off, let's get a kick drum going. And you can see my clock here is sending down to a sequencer which is triggering a drum synthesizer which is playing the kick on every beat. We can adjust that to every other beat, for example. Okay, there's your kick. Right, so I also have, if we trace it backwards, an output from VCV Rack going to my audio interface, which is a Motu M2 audio interface with a DC coupled outputs. So what that means is I can plug a cable in, a special type of cable called a floating ring cable, into the back of that, and that is plugged into my Edge, which you can see over here, into the advanced clock input. And as you saw when I unplugged it, the sequencer on the Edge started because the play stop button is lit, and when I plugged it back in, it stopped because it's not getting any voltage. Now if we enable this one, that is the clock. We'll pause it there by pulling the cable out. That's the clock going to the Edge and triggering the sequence every beat. So let's see what we can do. So we could use our Euclidean sequencer instead on the Edge. It's still triggering the 8 steps, but the timing is different. Let's see. And of course we can bring these in and out to add extra breaks in that sequence, for example. Okay, so we could vary that. We could use an LFO to alter that as it goes. Another option we've got down here is a random voltage. So in this example, and you'll see it on the scope down here as well, every time the voltage triggers from negative to positive, it triggers the clock, triggers the output and sends the voltage through to my audio interface. That's where I've got the volume on the audio interface turned up so that the voltage is high going out of the output. If I turn that down on the audio interface out of shot, then the voltage level is below that which triggers the clock. If I turn it back up again. Okay, well that's all well and good. I'm still using the 8-step sequencer, so there's no reset option on this on the sequencer on the Behringer Edge or the Moog DFAM. You can't go, say for example, go to step 5 and reset it back to the first step of the sequence. But we can simulate that by, and the way I've got this working on VCV Rack here is by playing a certain number of steps and then jumping the remaining steps. So if we turn down, for example, the last 3 on here, and you'll see that I have a sequencer here with 5 steps, and on the 5th step it will trigger a burst, and it's a burst of 4, so it's one more than you think, so 5, 6, 7, 8 and back to the start. So when we play this one, which is coming in to here, and we just need to advance it one more step on the Edge because it needs to be on the last one. Oh. Right, now we're on the last one. Now when we do this one here, and it goes through the 5-step sequencer, you see what happens. So you can see on the edge it's skipping quickly with a burst, and you can see on the scope here as well in VCV Rack a burst of clock, a burst of signals. So what I've got going on here is the actual trigger or a burst fires it. So that means it jumps through these three. Now if you had volume on here, you can get a kind of a ghost note. We can turn it low and it completely jumps. So we can drop it down to, we drop it down to 3 steps. It's still playing a 5-step sequencer. Over here, this routing goes to another instance of the same pair where we've got a 3-step sequencer, and on there we trigger 6 pulses at the end. So this one will do 3 steps. And again, you can see the edge is skipping over the steps that we don't want. We could choose to. You can hear it's in time with every other beat because the kick is on 1 and 3 and it's on 2. Now back to 5 again. Bring in some TD3. There you can see that I had to, because it wasn't lined up with the end of the sequence when I triggered the 3-step, it took quite a bit of effort to get back to the 3-step sequence. Turn that down a bit. So it's best to go get to the end. This one is now on the 3rd. Trigger that to the end. And then restart the 3. So, you know, it's changing on the fly. You have to be a bit practicing with the timing. Now I've stopped it and it's gone to the end. You see the 5th one here is on the 2nd step when I stopped it last. So if you make sure you stop it on the right one. So the 5th is on the 2nd step, so that's going to go get it to the 5th step, play a couple more, and then restart it again. To get back to 5. So it's about where these are when you're restarting and flipping between the different sequences. So not, you know, the easiest thing in the world, but if you want to, say, fix it at a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 step sequence, then one set of this do the job. Okay. Again, it's moved down one. Get the idea. Alright, got a bit chaotic there for a moment, but you know, experimentation. So there we are. That's using VCV Rack with a burst of steps to simulate a reset, because the reset patch isn't available directly on the Edge or the Moog DFAM. So with a bit of practice and a bit of setup and a patch point from your modular system into the advanced clock, you can break out of the 8-step sequencer on the Edge, Behringer Edge or the Moog DFAM. Thanks for watching. Hope that was interesting. Comments welcome. Thank you.